Anthony Manfredonia, Tribute Speech. Pope John Paul II, who was in the papacy for 27 years, died on April 2nd, 2005. His influence touched the lives of every societal faction, but one group for whom he always maintained a special affection for was the young people. Consequently, it is intended here to simply acknowledge a little bit about this unique pope and how he affected the young generation of today. How is it that this elderly Polish man, plagued by illness and head of one of the most conservative institutions in the world, still managed to move so many? In 1984, Pope John Paul II invited the world's youth to Rome for Palm Sunday. To his delight and astonishment, over 300,000 people responded to the invitation, instigating the now annual and continually growing World Youth Day. This is simply one example of the Pope's relationship with these young followers, whom he always addressed as, "My dear young people." His ability to inspire and communicate with the young people, without patronizing them, was a gift that can perhaps be traced to his evident and enduring humanity. In his early years, he worked in a chemical factory and always dreamed of becoming an actor. He loved skiing and football, and in his first speech as a pope, he spoke of his initial fear of the great task before him. His Polish roots and his memories of war, communism, and poverty all made him a very complex but real individual to whom many people could relate. However, it is perhaps Pope John Paul II's peaceful yet often political approach to his ministry for which he will be most well remembered and admired by his young people. He was unfazed by these live issues and refused to remain silent in the face of world's problems, whatever their origin. The Pope's pivotal role in the fall of communism in Eastern Europe is one of the main reasons why he is very, very well remembered. His first return to Poland undoubtedly helped to inspire the uprising of Solidarity, the communist bloc's first free trade union, and his continuing support for the repressed peoples meant the desire for freedom soon spread outside of his homeland. Indeed, Pope John Paul II spoke out against everything from the Iraq War and organized violence in Ireland to nuclear armaments and poverty in the Third World. His activism was perhaps most poignantly reflected in his unwavering attempts to bridge Catholicism and other denominations and religions. Despite sometimes receiving criticism from other Vatican members, the Pope organized these interreligious assemblies in Assisi, regularly engaged in dialogue with leaders of other faiths, and became the very, very first Pope to enter a mosque on his visit to Damascus in 2000. In making these efforts, he often repeated the word solidarity. While this has contained political connotations when used earlier in Poland, here the Pope invoked it to call for peace and tolerance in our very world. It is, of course, easy for the youth to reflect on Pope John Paul II's conservative, hard-line approach to questions of the Catholic belief and doctrine. However, whatever our stance on these particular issues, it is the Pope's determination and faithfulness which commands the respect. He became the most traveled Pope ever, visiting over 100 different countries, writing books and encyclicals, and preaching to millions and millions of people. He could speak numerous languages and also embraced all modern means of communication, even putting his sermons on the internet. Despite a litany of serious health problems, an attempted assassination, and of course, the unfortunate event of old age, the Pope sustained a demanding schedule to the end and remained resolute in his fulfillment of the vocation first embraced by his forefather, Saint Peter. While the reactions of young people to Pope John Paul II will vary, there are some things which seem very certain. In a world fraught with conflict, violence, poverty, and prejudice, This was a dignified man who reached out to every individual with love and respect. At the very least, we have been very, very privileged and witnesses to a great historical figure who was unashamed to spread his Catholic belief. For most students, this is the only pope that they will have ever realized and lived for. Pope Benedict XVI will face religious challenges, both great and varied, but will have at least left a remarkable example by his predecessor.